Hello. How you doing? Um, I've kind of said before, and I'm certainly not the first person to say it. You're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own set of facts. Um, Jesus Christ. We kind of all know that full-frame sensors have better performance, especially better dynamic range, better low-light performance than DX sensors or micro four thirds. That's not because it's a larger sensor, damn it. It's because there are larger photo sites on there. However, we also can go back to say 2008 and take a look at like the Nikon D3 and the D700. Both had the same sensor. Huge eyeballs or photo sites on those sensors. It's like, well, how come those perform much worse than say even a Micro Four Thirds today? Improved technology. That's 80 converters, SNR firmware, some other technology. So that's also the reason why we're actually able to have the Nikon D810 and the 51 megapixel Canon with tiny little photo sites. However, the 51 megapixel Canon does not really have good dynamic range. However, it does have a crap load of megapixels, which means if you drop a lot of light on the situation, you can crop the piss out of that shot. Let's repeat. I'm gonna do my triggered meme right here. Go triggered. Larger sensors don't gather more light. Okay, let's repeat this. Okay. Remember, you're not entitled to your own opinions. You're only entitled to your own you're entitled to your own opinions, but not entitled to your own facts. I had that backwards there for a second. Larger sensors do not gather more light. Larger sensors have an advantage in dynamic range, all things being equal, which they never are. It comes into play for enlargement, comes into play for field of view. Obviously, it's better for portraiture. We're able to use like an 85 millimeter and its compression and its resultant bokeh. Also for landscape. You see this light meter? Now, Pedal Your Pixel, I think you know which website I'm talking about, has recently published 2 articles in the past week. Heinously wrong. Heinously. Now, we all make mistakes. Okay, I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, so have you. That's all well and good. It's okay to make mistakes, but we're supposed to be truth seekers. At least wise and intelligent people are truth seekers. You see, when you find out you made a mistake, you go, oh, damn, I didn't know that. And then you adjust yourself. When people hold on to nonsense and bullcrap, then that makes them evil. It's like, you're wrong because boom, 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 boom. And here's the facts. Here's the evidence. No, I'm still going to stick with that. If you want to do that in religion and other sorts of stuff, that's fine. But you can't do that in photography. Talk about exposure. Exposure is per unit area, not per total area. Sensors don't work like goddamn solar panels nor picture windows. Okay, it's like, well, a bigger window lets in more light. It's like, yeah, that's nice. Sensors don't work that way. The little photo site down here that's part of the doggy doesn't give a shit about how big the sensor is. The little photo site down here on the sensor that's like hovered over a doggy, say your picture of a dog and a little girl or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't care about what's going on up there. You see? Sensors don't work like picture windows or buckets, okay? Gigantic kiddie pool in a rainstorm, 2 inches of water. You stick a cup out in the same rainstorms, also 2 inches. Like, well, yeah, but there's more total water in the kiddie pool. Yeah, that's true. But sensors are not buckets, okay? You could say the photo sites are like buckets, larger buckets. You have millions of little buckets on your sensor, right? Bigger ones gather more light, total light. That's individual buckets, millions and millions of them on your sensor. You see this neat little thing here? This is the most advanced light meter. Well, it isn't now. 758's been replaced by the 858, which has a couple new features and a touchscreen. There's no button on this goddamn light meter for adjusting sensor size. Let me repeat that to you, especially the people that wrote those stupid Pedal Your Pixel. Does anybody error check stuff over at Pedal Your Pixel? Does anybody fact check anything over there before publishing it? Does anybody? Does anybody? If you want to talk about art theory, you can put a pile of your opinions in an article and it's all valid. It's like, this is my theory on art. All of it is valid, because that is your expert opinion on art theory, yada, yada, yada. When you start talking about exposure and sensor size, you can't be doing that stuff because that doesn't work that way. You see, there's no adjustment on this frigging light meter for sensor size. What does that mean to you? There's no way to adjust this for sensor size. Did I just repeat myself again? I did. Yeah. You know, if you stick this light meter, dome head, over a tiny hole, it will register the exact same exposure as if I stick it over a big hole, big sensor. Exposure is per unit area. Do you know what is behind this little dome? There's actually a few photo sites behind it. That's what a professional light meter, ultimately, the thing that actually registers the light not only through here but through here, are a couple little photo sites. I think there's 4 of them in total. It could be a bundle now of like 5 or something. I think the old ones had 2. I've got some older light meters that have 2 on them, like the old Minolta 4F. There's no adjustment on the goddamn light meter for sensor size. I was arguing with a fool that wrote an article over on Pedal Your Pixel. Everybody keeps proving like this is why you're wrong. He keeps quoting another YouTuber. I won't tell you who it is. You know, a team of YouTubers. He keeps quoting their channel. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not the reference for what photography is or is not. Neither am I. The facts are, however. By that sort of illogical nonsense and crap, you know, more light falls on a person's head if you stand in Texas, a bigger state, than in Rhode Island. Well, that shit isn't accurate either, is it? No, it's not. So, you know, Texas is a big state, so if I stand there, more light's gonna, you know, maybe you're gonna get sunburned in Texas, whereas Rhode Island, you know, your head's gonna get cold. No! No, it doesn't work that way. It does not. You know, the sun falling on your head doesn't give a damn how big the state is. All lenses also drop the same light, irrespective of the size of the sensor that's underneath them. People thinking that bigger sensors have better performance due to bigger sensors, bigger cameras that have better performance due to bigger sensors are wrong, you know. It's due to the larger photo sites and technology, 80 converters, SNR firmware. Larger sensors do have an advantage in field of view and less enlargement when it comes to viewing and printing. But that doesn't have a damn thing to do with exposure. Does not. Triggered. Triggered. Here's a question for you. Which has more details in it per square millimeter or per square inch? A 24 megapixel DX sensor or a 24 megapixel FX sensor? Yeah, the 24 megapixel DX sensor has a lot more information because if you scale it up at the exact same pixel pitch, it would be a 54 megapixel FX sensor. That's why someone with a $12,000, say 600 millimeter f4 lens is using it on a cheap 24 megapixel DX sensor. There's a lot more croppability. See? FX sensors have an advantage in the fact that they don't need as much enlargement and better field of view, but DX cameras have an advantage in that there's more translational information per square millimeter per square inch of sensor. Yeah, yeah, generally speaking, unless it's an old camera, of course. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Where do people come up with this? Where? They keep reading the bucket. You know, he keeps talking about buckets on you. Yeah, there's a channel on YouTube that kept coming up with these bucket analogies. I found out where he got that error from. He got it from, and it's not an error on the original website. It's on Cambridge in Color. It uses the word buckets, but the website did not clarify. But then when it was talking about buckets, it was talking about photo sites and not sensors. You see, larger sensors don't gather more light. Well, sure they do. It's larger. It's got to gather more light. Total light has nothing to do with exposure. Let's repeat that again. No sensor on Earth, digital sensor, has anything to do with total light. Total light has no connection to exposure. Exposure and total light or larger sensors have nothing in common. Exposure doesn't have jack shat to do with the larger sensor and total light. Total light has nothing to do with exposure. Did I just repeat myself 4 times? Oh my God, I did. Yeah, I told that person that wrote that stupid article, and it's okay to be wrong. Like I said, it's okay to be wrong. But when you're proven wrong over and over again, and several people do it, like boom, 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 and you're like, no, I'm going to still hold to this. That makes you an idiot. I told that person, you need to call up Sekonic and tell those bastards at Sekonic they don't know what the hell they're doing because they have all these thousands and thousands of light meters out here that don't have a setting on them for sensor size. You understand that? Larger sensors don't gather more light. Sure they do, because a larger sensor is just like a picture window or a solar panel or a big bucket or like a kiddie pool. No, totally incorrect analogy. Sensors are covered with millions of little photo sites, little eyeballs, right? And the little eyeball down here doesn't give a crap about what's going on up there. If you're able to take an FX sensor and cut it up into 20 pieces, little bitty pieces, and assume, which of course it wouldn't, assume that each one of those pieces still worked, yeah, which of course it wouldn't, but let's just assume for fantasy's sake. And you place them, put the tiny little one underneath the lens in the same camera where the FX sensor used to be, the exposure would remain a constant, the dynamic range would remain a constant, everything would be a frigging constant. Nothing would change. The only thing that would change is field of view. Not depth of field. Depth of field doesn't change either, because every lens poops the same light out of its rear element onto whatever sensor. Every lens doesn't know nor care what size sensor is underneath it. Does not. That's a fact. It's irrefutable. It's undeniable. You can't debate it. You can't argue it, because there is no debating or arguing it. Yeah, there we go. Triggered. Triggered. Jesus Christ, where the stupid people get bred. Where are these stupid people coming from? Must be the MTV generation or something like that. No, it's the Facebook generation. Generation douchebag. Duh. Generation stupid. It's okay to be wrong. It's another thing, however, when you're proven wrong, to keep sticking with that nonsense. That is when you cross the boundary line into the land of dumb ass. So, larger sensors don't gather more light. Exposure is per unit area, not per total area. Sensors don't work like goddamn picture windows or kiddie pools or solar panels or whatever the hell else it is you can think of. Okay? And when you're standing in Rhode Island, there's no difference in the light falling on your damn head than when you're standing in a larger state like Texas or California. You know? No, it doesn't work that way. Exposure's per unit area, not total area. Triggered. Thank you for watching so much. If you like this video, drop a buck or two. Tell me jump off a cliff. Whatever makes you happy. Happy, 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 happy. Thank you so much. Bye.